guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
We are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording Saturday, September 8th, and we actually have a good amount of stuff to talk about, thanks in part to Jeff Goodman of The Messenger, because without his Tatum interview, we wouldn't have much. But yeah,
we have a ton.
September is we do have a ton now, and we'll get into that. September is just dragging on, though. It's September 9th.
We thought August
was bad. The 30th.
September, worst.
September is crazy, man. I mean, I looked out at the calendar. I'm like, okay, September's got to be at least halfway over now. It's the 9th. I'm like, oh, September's over now, right? Nope, it's not even close.
I cannot wait till this month is over. September, there's nothing.
In
like
October,
in general, like there's nothing to be like really excited for. There's no holidays.
That's it.
Fuck off.
I actually enjoyed the first. Like, I watched Chiefs Lions, but now you just don't watch football. But like, I think it was just because it was the first like drop of sports that I had. I mean, baseball doesn't count either.
I went out and I had a bunch of wings. Buy one, get one Thursdays at Buffalo Wild Wings. I just annihilated.
There we go. But
I did 30. I probably could have did 40, maybe 45.
30 wings is crazy.
It's easy.
I can't do it. But as I mentioned, thank you to Jeff Goodman of The Messenger and CLNS. I mean, kind of friend of the program, if you want to put it in the CLNS family. But he did an interview with Jayson Tatum, and he talked about everything. They talked about it all. And so we're going to break down the Tatum interview bit by bit. We'll go through all its quotes. We'll talk about all the topics. But in the timestamps, you're going to just see Jayson Tatum interview, and you can pick through it all. But let's just start with this top one here. Being a great Celtic. And I know you wrote about this for Celtics blog.
It ain't up yet, but
Tatum was asked. It's not, but it's coming. Tatum was asked about being a Celtic and what it means. He goes, "I would love to be on the Mount Rushmore of Celtics. Bill Russell, Paul Pierce, and those guys, they paved the way. The one thing all those guys have is chips. I have to get to the top of the mountain to be even considered as one of those guys. I want to be an all-time great. I want to be a winner, known as a winner, and I believe I will be." Which is, I know you were very excited to hear that from Tatum.
Well, he's talking about chips. He's on the Ruffles bag. All right.
It's true.
Good start. No, but this is really awesome. This is a kind of thing that you really haven't heard from anybody in a while, it feels like. I felt like Marcus Smart was really the guy that wanted to be one of these guys, but he obviously didn't have the skill level. It's nice to see that Tatum is ready to kind of take on that responsibility, especially after the Smart exit, where the Celtics are looking for their new guy. Like, not so much talent-wise, but their embodiment of what it means to be a Celtic. Now, could it be a very much a pander quote? Sure.
Possible.
But he has real goals, and that's the real takeaway. He's been close. They've been close to winning a title. Been to the finals. They should have won. Didn't. He's been to 4 conference finals in 6 seasons.
Yep.
And he's almost there. He has maybe the best resume of anybody 25 or younger ever. No, because Bird won like right away.
Yeah.
So did Bill Russell. But in like recent history, he's poised to have a legendary Celtic career. He's off to the best start since Bird. And he very well could wind up on the team's Mount Rushmore. But I guess if we really want to talk about that, you really have to talk about who's there first. And that's what I wrote about for Celtics blog. It's not up yet, but it'll be there.
Mm-hmm. Do we want to talk about it, or do we want to wait and tell people to go read your article instead?
No, we can talk about it.
All right. Well, obviously he mentioned Bill Russell and Larry Bird, and I feel like those are the 2 obvious names. Yes. Paul Pierce is another one who right now is very clearly there in my eyes. And I think John Havlicek is probably the 4th one right now. And I don't necessarily know if there's an argument for anybody over those 4 guys. There's a conversation that can be had, but I feel like those 4 have a pretty clear case. Yeah, I know.
Unload the clip.
I'm pretty like those 4 are a fairly clear top 4, at least right now, because, Bird and Russell speak for themselves. Pierce was here for so many years, and he did it in a modern era. And I think that's the biggest thing that I wanted to say. When we're talking about who would Tatum replace, I know we texted about it, and I said, oh, he'd probably replace Havlicek, and you said, oh, I think he'd replace Pierce. And I think the biggest reason why Havlicek could get bumped off instead of Pierce is because of the eras thing. Like, you look at it in the scope of Bill Russell had his own era. Larry Bird had his own era. Paul Pierce had his own era of Celtics ball, and so did Jayson Tatum. Havlicek did for a small period, but it was like broken in half. Like, half of his career was, I'm also the second to Bill Russell. And then he did do it himself, which is why he's there on the Mount Rushmore now. But I think because of the fact that he shared that half era, he doesn't necessarily, not that he's not good enough to be on Mount Rushmore, because he clearly is, but he doesn't get thought of as highly as Paul Pierce because of the way they did it and the length of time they were on their own in Boston, if that makes sense. I just feel like mentally that's how I think about it.
First and foremost, one of the reasons why people don't mention him as quickly as the other three is the time that has passed. That's number one. The two of us have never seen Havlicek play. Certainly not live. I don't know how many old black and white games you're watching.
None. Have not.
Yeah. Okay, so that's first and foremost the first reason. But as I went through, I determined, obviously, Bird, Russell, mortal locks. They probably are immovable. Like, they are completely there forever. I don't think there's any debate to that. They are the two greatest. Anybody arguing that they're not on there just doesn't understand or is
don't know ball
to pick a fight. Yeah, they don't know ball. So that's the first step to this. Now, I personally have Havlicek third. And here's why. Did he come up under Bill Russell? Yes, absolutely he did. But he continued the winning tradition and kept the franchise propelling forward in the 70s, winning in 74, winning in 76. He won a finals MVP. He played 15 seasons with the Celtics, just as many as Pierce. He is the franchise's all-time leading scorer.
Yep.
He made a bunch of all-star teams, bunch of all-NBA. And he just kept that winning tradition going. Like, that to me is the biggest thing. Yes, he absolutely was. He was a sixth man at one point. He moved into the starting lineup. But at the end of the day, he became the face of Celtics basketball for a sustained period of time. Regardless, he did have his own era. And they won more championships than Pierce did. But I'll say this about Pierce, and this is 1,000% why he's on the Mount Rushmore. And I'm sure there are people that are like, Pierce isn't even on there. And we'll get to that. Pierce ushered in a whole new era of Celtics fans, including the two of us, really. We grew up. That's who the star was. He was the captain for years. He was the face of the big three, despite Garnett probably being the best player in the bunch. He won the finals MVP. They win in 2008. He was drafted here. He stays for 15 years. He has a few more years after leaving the Celtics. The only one on this list to have not spent their whole career with the Celtics. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Especially he was here plenty of time. But the reason I'm mentioning that, he didn't leave. One,
I know.
One, him exiting the Celtics is why Jayson Tatum is on the team.
This is true.
Two, he had one of the best moments ever as a returning player, making the final shot, like a homecoming moment. That ruled. His final game in Boston, where he gets subbed in for the last 20 seconds and makes one more three, and the place goes bananas, and the Celtics still win. The perfect going away player, coming home moment. Team wins, player wins, everybody's happy. Awesome moment. Jersey retired, Hall of Fame, the whole nine. He definitely deserves to be there. And again, he's the reason why Tatum's on this team. So his legacy lives on through Tatum. He's like getting like almost like when you have a 401k and you get interest on your investment. Like he's kind of getting like supplemental like accolades through Tatum.
Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets. Guaranteed. That's guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. It absolutely is. The app is easy to use, and you can be on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston. Kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I gotta go.
I mean,
my fan. Keep talking.
You're good. My biggest thing is, and again, I don't want this to turn into a JJ Redick-esque where I get killed.
Mm.
You go, he's made this many All-Star teams. He's made this many. Yes. But he also didn't have to play the same level. Again, I don't want that to discredit John Havlicek's greatness because he had a phenomenal career. He's the all-time leading scorer on one of the best franchises in the league, one of the top three. Easy argument for the best, one of the most historic. But I don't know. It's just I think there's something to be said in at least how my brain works of you pick one guy from each era, and it's really hard to have another guy from the same era on the Mount Rushmore, even though he did transcend into his own, and he won 2 titles there. It's just, I mean, one guy made the All-Star team this year, then he made it with 10 points and 10 rebounds. Like, I'm not going to spend the whole time arguing that way. I just think if you were to bump somebody off for Jayson Tatum eventually, if he does climb that mountain, it would be I'll just say it'd be a pretty tough debate because I don't know. It's I'm not going to say Pierce has like a clear argument above Havlicek. That's just the way I see it. And I don't think either one is like very clearly head and shoulders above the other either. I think it's pretty close.
No, I think it's fair.
Yeah.
I just think like all of the accolades and the leading scorer part of it, which you'd have to imagine by the time Tatum is done, if he sticks around forever, he'll be the leading scorer of the Celtics. So it'll be a little bit less relevant. I don't know. Comments, let us know who you think. Also, honorable mentions who are a part of the article, and I truly think deserve a shout. But because I think we're really focusing on players and what Tatum can do as a player to become one of the 4 best Celtics ever, we've got Red Auerbach, of course. He's literally the patriarch. He was till death a member of the organization, the architect of many championship teams, the team's coach of the Russell era, steps down. Russell takes over as coach. Then he helps orchestrate plenty of trades to get McHale, Parrish, drafts Bird at 6. All of these things ushers in the new era of success. And again, until that rat Patino rolled around, he was in charge of the team. So he was Mr. Celtic. Also, honorable mention, it's kind of tough not to have Tommy on the Mount Rushmore because he just ruled. Tommy was the best. If you ever need like a pick-me-up, go and watch Timmy's like 20-minute mixtape of Tommy just ranting on the broadcast, like all of his highlights being alongside Mike Gorman, who also kind of gets a shout. But Tommy, excellent playing career. He never had to be the guy, which is why I leave him off of the list. It's tough. And I actually kind of hate it because it was like an afterthought. I was like, well, technically Tommy kind of should be on there. And it's because he was on all those title teams. He had big performances throughout the Russell era. He had like a 37-15 game 7 or something crazy like that as a rookie. He coached to 2 championships, those Havlicek championships. And then he was a broadcaster with the team until death. He was a Celtic for all of the championships. He is Mr. Celtic. He is like the epitome of what anybody that puts on a Celtics uniform should be trying to be. So Tommy is somebody else that deserves a shout for this. And if you're in the comments and you're like, Tommy should be on there, I kind of agree. But I tried to make the parameters for this purely playing.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Tatum definitely has a chance. He's still young.
Yeah.
But he's got to win titles.
He has plenty of time. He has a lot of work to do, though, because he's 25. He's made, again, 4 Eastern Conference Finals, 1 NBA Finals. He's never missed the playoffs. He's made 4 All-Star teams now, I think. Maybe only 3. Or maybe 3 All-NBA. He's racking up the accolades regardless. He needs to win a championship to edge out probably one of the 2 remaining spots, whether it's Havlicek or Pierce. If he wins a championship and sticks around forever, he'll likely, again, eclipse Havlicek as their leading scorer. He'll have a championship, so he'll have that very important piece of the career to be respected in Celtics history. If he wins more than 1, let's say he gets 3. If Tatum gets 3, he might become one of the cement guys that you cannot take off because he is the most talented player since Bird. He has had, again, just a flooded start to his career. success all around. He made the conference finals, took LeBron to a game 7 as a rookie, and he was the head of the snake on that team, really. And he's continued to be an ascending star since then.
Yeah, I agree. I'm excited. I mean, he's got to win. He got to win.
They better win. They better win.
And I will say it is, as I said, when I was entering my JJ Redick era, Tatum is probably going up against the toughest competition that any. It's true. Not because these guys played bad competition, but because competition is just only ever going to get better from here on out. So that's just the way it works. Moving on to the next part of the interview, because there is a lot more, and we just spent 15 minutes on that. We won't spend as much time on all of them, but Tatum was asked about Ime Udoka and him leaving and the ruckus it caused at the start of the season. He goes, it was 2 days before training camp. You lose in the finals and everyone is working their tail off to try to get back to that point. Then you find out that Gallinari tears his ACL. Rob is going to miss the first 25 games. And our head coach is no longer a head coach. It's not easy. It's tough. You play in the finals and you lose and you got to start all the way over. Now we got November games in Detroit. It's real. You're ready to get back to the finals, but you can't skip these steps. It was a lot to process and deal with. And I give us credit. We came together. I think it brought us together as a team. We had the second best record in the NBA. We could have had every excuse to start off slow and make excuses. And I think their season, and I think we've talked about this, kind of went the opposite of way a lot of people expected. A lot of people expected
laughing because I was about to say
it. They should have gotten off to a slow start and then got hot at the right time, but instead they got off to a ridiculously hot start and then they got cold at the wrong time. And not saying it's an excuse, but like more thinking about it in that context, like it does make a little bit of sense that they didn't make the same run, because the year prior they were terrible. Then they got hot and they ran to the finals. This past year they were great and then they were not great for a while, and then they still made the Eastern Conference Finals, but they just didn't have the oomph to get over the hump. So you got to see them put it together. Again, it wasn't an excuse. You got to see them put it together for an entire season. But I do think now that this is the first time in 3 years that the Celtics have had continuity from season to season. And I think you could see them take advantage of that.
I hope you're right. I do hope you're right. It is funny. Like they had the shit hit the fan and then they're like, okay, we're just going to bully everybody. They went into Phoenix and won by like 50 and then the wheels came off.
Yeah.
The West Coast trip was not kind to them. And then they really kind of struggled from that point on, and they never got back to the level I think everybody felt that they could be at. And it really sucks because we all had high expectations for the Celtics. They came in and exceeded them, and then they started to let everybody down. Like they didn't just come out flat, and it probably would have been less painful had they just been like shit from the start, because everyone would be like, well, Ime or Gallinari, like all the things that Tatum mentions. People would be like, well, that, well, this, well, that. It's like, well, you got through the hard part. You get Rob back, and all of a sudden you can't play. Like, what is happening?
It was weird. I wonder how much of it was. This is so stupid, and I don't know if it actually happened. I wonder how much of it was them integrating Rob into a lineup that literally everybody on the floor could shoot threes, and then they had to find a way to integrate Rob who can't. And I don't think that was a reason, because like they just got cold at the wrong time. Like guys just couldn't shoot. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, he's in the lab. He's throwing up the heaves.
From what Tatum said though, like we talked about it again all the time. Joe Mazzulla was just put in an impossible spot. He was just put in like the worst possible situation to win.
Goodman got him to talk about it. He says, I think it was unfair in regards to Mazzulla in the Eastern Conference Finals. I do not know what more Joe could have done. He wasn't out there turning the ball over and missing free throws. That was us.
This is true. This is true. Everyone was like, Eric Spoelstra outcoached Joe Mazzulla. And for the first 3 games, he did. He did. No, he did. There was a level of outcoaching, but at the same time, like Joe's not taking the shots. Joe's not, like Tatum said, he's not making the free throws. He's not committing the fouls. He's not turning the ball over. Or that was the coaching part. But even in the broader scope of the entire season, like, Joe was like saying, okay, here you go. Good luck. Like, he's just thrown into deep end and forced to try to
get ready to learn how to coach, buddy, is what they
exactly.
said.
Exactly. No, but obviously, like Tatum talked about it all in the grander scheme of things. Losing Ime Udoka wasn't easy. Getting Joe in, but I truly do think, like I said, it's been 3 straight years of 3 different head coaches, and the Celtics have gone. They got lost in the first round, but then they went finals, Eastern Conference Finals with new coach. Like, there's something to be said about that level of success. You look at the other teams that made the runs those years. right? Like the Warriors, Steve Kerr, the Heat, Eric Spoelstra, right? This past year, the Nuggets, Mike Malone, right? Like the teams, most of the teams,
Steve
if not all,
Kerr,
at the top.
who looked excellent in that Germany game. Everybody was
Did you
trashing
see-
Steve Kerr on Twitter.
We're gonna talk about the
We'll
FIBA
get
World Cup
there.
later. Do you see the picture of Eric Spoelstra just like giving? Steve
Yeah,
Kerr
he's
death
just
stare?
lurking in the background. He's like, they really got this guy like learning the alphabet out there, trying to coach.
That's what I'm saying. Jeff Goodman also spoke to Jayson Tatum about the Marcus Smart trade. He goes, I'm for sure going to miss Marcus, or excuse me, I am for sure going to miss Smart. He was my teammate for 6 years and we've been through it all. We had good moments together. We had bad moments together. He's somebody that I wish was going to be my teammate forever. Yeah. I would agree with that, Jason. But
should have been more vocal to the front office. Be like, I'm going to leave if you trade him. You could have prevented it.
Well,
but he wants to be the victim.
Tough. But speaking of
where
vocal,
were you? Where were you when they traded him?
Speaking of vocal leadership, all that stuff, Jeff Goodman also spoke to Tatum about this because this has been one of the like most not controversial but talked about points of Tatum's career so far is his
I love this part.
Style of leadership. He goes, I'm never going to be Kevin Garnett. As much as people want me to be, that's not who I am. The way I lead, the public may not ever see what I do. When I need to, I make sure my voice is heard and I do it in my own way. I'm not going to be out there jumping up and down, screaming. That's just not my personality, except when it comes to the fouls. But anyways, sorry. As much as people want to talk about it and want me to be that, I'm not changing who I am. I lead in my own way. When I talk, everybody in that organization is going to listen. And whatever I say is for the betterment of the team, and my teammates know that. Hell yeah.
Don't trade Smart. Look at that. I didn't even know that was coming. And I was like, you should have prevented it.
No, but for real though, that's good to hear. Love to hear that.
I think the KG part of it is funny because people do complain about that stuff a lot, including I would like to see him be more emotional every once in a while because you do get like I think that is part of the reason why some people were like, he might not want to stay here. He doesn't really show a lot of like excitement. And when he first got in the league, he was always wearing a lot of Duke stuff and he would never wear Celtic stuff. Now you see a lot more of like, he's got a Celtics hat on. He had the KG jacket he wore into game 7 and he was like, anything's possible. And then they lost. So I'm happy he wants to be a leader. The team definitely needs him to step up and be a leader at this point, which he may already be doing. We don't really see. But with Smart gone, he was somebody that at least the media painted to be the leader of the team, and he's not there anymore. So Tatum, get ready to lead.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I've always talked about this in the concept of not everybody's going to be Kobe. Not everybody's going to be these like complete assholes. Like we talk about all the time. You want everybody on the Celtics to hate everybody else in the league, right? Like that's just the way you enjoy looking at things, right? Like Kobe wasn't friends with anybody, but now you see Jayson Tatum going to hang out with Donovan Mitchell or Jaylen Brown going to hang out with other people. You know what I'm saying? Like you'll see these guys hanging out off the court. Like Jayson Tatum was working out with Joel Embiid, I think, because they have the same trainer. And that's just the way it is.
James Harden's being a bitch. So just in case Embiid wants a trade, you have to be buddy.
Exactly. No, but they're going to be friends, and everyone's so, don't be friends with these guys that are not on your team. Like that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a product of the new era of stars. Like Jayson Tatum is saying here, I'm not going to be the guy screaming and hating everybody. Like, but I don't think you can sit there and say, well, he's not a leader because he doesn't lead in the way that I want him to. Like that's, I think, the part that's unfair. And he addressed it pretty clear here. When I talk, everyone in the organization is going to listen. Okay, you know what? My bad. All you, Jason, you do your thing. And you know what? He's right. He says something. Everybody in that Celtics organization is gonna be like, yeah, sure. Let's try to do that for you. I mean, fucking Emil Jefferson's an assistant coach. Do you think that's coincidence? No.
Harry Giles is another team.
Yeah, but he found a place in Brooklyn. But he has the most influence in the Celtics organization since Paul Pierce. And he's going to act like that. And just because we don't see the way he leads doesn't mean it's not there. And I think he's trying to make that abundantly clear with this, which I enjoyed very much listening to.
I liked what he had to say about Boston. I'm going to read that one.
You'll skip to that? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because we're kind of talking about his place within the organization. He tells Goodman, he goes, just recently I started to feel a connection with Boston. I spent my whole adult life here. My son has grown up here. I've grown up here. I've accomplished so many things. It's happened so fast, and Boston has played such an intricate part in my life. I just feel like I relate a lot more in these last 2 years. At first, it was like I live here, but I'm from St. Louis. I'm a St. Louis kid. Now I'm part of Boston. I really feel a connection with the city and the people of Boston. You never know what can happen, but I love playing for the Celtics. I figured out my space in the city and have grown to really enjoy it. I love the fans. It would be really hard to leave this place. So Tatum, who was painted as a flight risk for the first couple of years, doesn't seem that much anymore. And again, this kind of like what I just talked about. You could kind of see a change, more of a connection to the city develop. So I'm happy to read this. Tatum is a good one, and he's proving it by saying the right thing. He behaves well. Even though he's not a vocal leader, like we kind of just talked about for a couple minutes, he does everything the right way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like you said, the first couple of years, everyone was painting him as he's going to leave. And then you remember when he did that ad campaign for NBA and he put on the Kobe jersey and everyone
I remember that. Yeah,
reamed
mad
him.
as hell.
I thought it was stupid as shit. Not him putting it on, but all the people getting mad at it. But we've been over that. It's nice to hear him talk about wanting to stay. It's nice to hear him sort of adopt the mindset of I am part of Boston now, because I think that's how. I mean, in a city like Boston, in an organization like the Celtics, the athletes are sort of adopted by the city. You saw it with Marcus Smart, which is why it was so crushing when he left. You saw it with like even go to other sports like Tom Brady. Obviously, he went to the Bucks, but he's coming back for week 1 of the regular season this year for the NFL. Look at Mookie Betts. He came back to Boston for the first time in like 3 years, and they're like, "Oh, look at him, he's back."
Well, they screwed him over.
Exactly, and everyone hates the team because of it.
Bergeron, he was a great Bruin, great career, just retired. So absolutely, these guys connect with the city. It's a great place to play. If you're listening and you might want to sign a contract here, just know it is. Take Blake Griffin's word for it.
Listen to the How About Them Celtics podcast when they're looking to sign a contract. But the last thing that Tatum talked about, which was in the middle of the article, but we jumped over it quick to talk about that. He talked about Jaylen Brown, obviously signed an extension with the Celtics this summer. He said, I was excited for Jaylen and I wasn't surprised. That's a no-brainer for me because he deserves it. He had a hell of a year, the best year of his career, and he was rewarded for that. It was the right time. People make a big deal of $300 million. The NBA makes a lot of money. Contracts will be $350, then $370. That's the way it's going. I was happy for him. I knew it was going to happen. It was a no-brainer, but I still reached out to him and told him he should be proud of himself and his family. Don't take it for granted. This is generational. I'm 25 and he'll be 27 in 2 months. We're far from perfect. He won't ever get the credit. We won't ever get the credit we deserve until we actually win a championship. That is the ultimate goal, but you can't bypass all the things we've accomplished in the 6 years. We've been teammates at a very young age. We've been to the playoffs every single year. We've gotten better. Yes, it took some time to figure out how we can be special as we can be. And how we can coexist together. And I know everybody says they take turns. I feel like we got to a place where we're feeding off each other, playing really well. We talk about it all the time. We are due to get over the hump, and it's going to be well worth it when we do. So it's exactly what you want to hear from them. He's right that they won't get the credit they deserve until they win a championship. But realistically, if you look at across NBA history, all duos, like you will be hard pressed to find many with as much playoff success as these two have had in their first 6 years together. And the only thing missing is the ultimate goal of a championship, which he admitted here, which I'm not like trying to gloss over, but once they do win a championship, knock on wood, like I think people would be able to really appreciate like, holy shit, they've been to the conference finals every single year.
No,
it's
true. Like that's kind of what I was talking about when we were like, well, what's it going to take for him to get on the Mount Rushmore? He's off to a tremendous start. And technically so is Jaylen Brown. But again, it goes back to is it really his era thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the potential for the type of career Tatum could have with the Celtics is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. He has bird potential. Like he has potential to be that much of an icon in the city, in the sport, for St. Louis, for the city of Boston, all of it. All they have to do is start winning championships, and people are going to really, really start putting Tatum high up on all-time lists, the league's current rankings, like we've had to talk about too much.
Mm-hmm. way too often.
You're going to start to see some crazy shit happen. Like, if they start winning, people are going to be like, he went to how many conference finals? He's 26.
And both unfortunately and fortunately for Tatum, it's a double-edged sword because he is trying to win titles in an era with Giannis, Jokic, Steph still playing, LeBron still playing, KD still playing, and then you have the younger generation of Luka is coming up. You've got all these young guys coming up, and if he can't win a title, people will look at it and say, okay, well, he played in this era. It's not going to be an excuse. People are going to be like, damn, he is the new Steve Nash. He's the new Charles Barkley. He's the new Carmelo Anthony.
Chuck.
Like, it sucks. But if he does win, he is going to have to go through some of the best talent in NBA history. Like, Jokic and Giannis are top 25, 30 players of all time, and he's trying to beat them right now. Steph's a borderline top 10 player of all time. KD and LeBron,
Steph's probably top 10.
15, top 10. There's a debate, but like, he's going up against some of the toughest competition in NBA history. And if he can, I mean, he broke through the finals once. All it's going to take it for him is to get over the top, and people are going to be like, well, shit, Jayson Tatum is that guy. And I'm excited. And I mean, we talked about this in the context of Jaylen Brown. Like, he's got about as good of a co-star as you could possibly have. And I'm very excited about seeing them both in Boston.
I mean, we were like 5 minutes away from Tatum being in the GOAT conversation already. Just they shot a bunch of threes, dude. Like, we're back to me being like, I can't believe they lost that game 4. I hope I'm not like 50 and being like, dude, can't believe they lost game 4.
You still will be. Even if Tatum wins 5 championships, like, he could have had 6.
Dude, he could have had 6. Yeah.
But yeah, go check out Jeff Goodman's interview with Jayson Tatum. Go read it.
I applied to write the
support.
Messenger.
There you go. Well, thank you, Jeff Goodman.
As you can tell, I didn't get
season content.
Let's
move on.
About that. That's for sure. Good job.
The Celtics made a signing. That's the next thing we're going to be talking about. Celtics signed Taylor Funk to a Exhibit 10 contract for training camp. Reported by Bobby Manning, friend of the pod, CLNS Media, and Celtics blog writer.
Legend.
Reported. Absolute legend. I think he's been on our show more than he might be most. I think he's second behind John Corrales. But anyways,
Very
thank you, Bobby.
Too.
This is very true.
Yes.
Bobby Manning, or not Bobby Manning, reported Taylor Funk, 6'8" out of Utah State, 25 years old, undrafted this year. But I have his real GM. He is definitely older for a college player, but he is
he sure is. He got that COVID year. He got probably a red shirt, and he looks like Tyler Hero.
He does a little bit. 25 years old. He played in Summer League this year for the Heat Summer League team, which, Sam, what's the red flag there if the Heat don't pick him up?
If the Heat aren't keeping a guy, probably not a whole lot there. They get every last drop out of the guys they pull off the street. So
not great.
Taylor Funk isn't getting squeezed.
Not great. As a senior for Utah State, he played in 34 games, started 33 of them. 30 minutes a night, averaged 13 points, 5.5 rebounds, 1.7 assists, shot 45% from the field and 37% from behind the 3-point line. He's probably not going to actually turn into anything on the Celtics roster, but you have seen a little over a month ago, or I don't know how long ago now. And then now the Celtics are starting to sign these training camp contracts to probably keep in their G League system. They signed DJ Stewart to an Exhibit 10 training camp deal a little while ago. And now they brought in Taylor Funk for a training camp deal. I don't know how much there's to say about it, but just a move we wanted to talk about on the pod. Again, probably just going to be one of those going to play for the G League team filler guys.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much there is to say about these guys. Maybe you get some really cool preseason highlights, and we're like, this guy should make the roster. Maybe it's going to be the Javonte Green Max Strus battle from a couple years ago, and then they took Taco, and Max Strus went and joined Chicago, tore his ACL. Then the Heat found him, and all of a sudden he was real good.
Yeah, he was real good by the end of it, but
now
Taylor Funk, he got paid a lot of money. He's going to be for a really good Cavs team, though. So good for him. Bobby's tweet about it, just to present a little bit of extra information provided by Bobby on the situation. 6'8" forward Tyler Funk to an Exhibit 10. Funk, who is 26, says he will turn 26. He turns 26 this year. Averaged 13 and 5 on solid splits. Played in Summer League for the Heat. Did not shoot very well for the Heat in Summer League. Bobby explaining the Exhibit 10s here. Exhibit 10s deals bring players into training camp and typically offer a bonus to remain with the G League team for a certain amount of time. The Celtics do have one two-way spot available. DJ Stewart signed earlier this summer to compete for it as well. So it sounds like Taylor Funk and DJ Stewart will be in part competing for the Celtics' final two-way spot, which, to be quite clear, don't really care. Speaking
of Exhibit 10, just while we're talking about it,
yeah,
you sent this to me, mad as hell. Vincent Valerio Badone,
oh yeah,
who the Celtics let rot at the end of the bench in the Summer League, has been signed by the Lakers. So if he's good, I want everybody here to know that Jack and I know ball, and we were like, this guy fucking rules, and they need to play him.
We did,
but
we were high on him.
If he sucks, then you know, what are you gonna
Then
do?
you didn't hear it from us.
He looked good. He looked good to me. He has a good basketball body, good movements. He looks comfortable, decent shot. I don't know, man.
Agree. But for these, it's almost weird because for these two-way contracts, you almost don't want the Celtics to target JD Davison type players anymore. You'd probably rather see them go after the Jay Scrubs and guys like DJ Stewart and Taylor Funk, who aren't going to be these stars in the league. They're not going to turn into these, big players. Like they're probably not going to be a big, rotation piece, but they could turn into a Sam Hauser. They could turn into a, Caleb Martin or Max Strus. They could turn into one of these guys that is just a solid role player in the NBA. And you're going to see why the Heat and the Grizzlies and all these other teams target role players for their two-way contracts, because you see a lot of teams around the league say, oh, let's go after some high upside 19-year-olds and bring them in and see if they turn into something. At some point, you've got to just go after guys who will turn into role players. And I feel like that's what you could see with the guys the Celtics are targeting for theirs. So it's just about what route they decide to target.
Perhaps.
Anyways, let's see. I don't think we have too much else Celtic stuff to talk about. The Tatum article took a bunch of our time, but NBA 2K24 just dropped, Sam. I don't know if you're going to play it. I know we used to play back in the day, but I haven't played in a minute. But with the release of NBA 2K24, Celtics ratings have dropped. We talked about it briefly when some of them came out. We know Tatum is a 95 because 2K teased the game and released all of their top ratings. So we know that, but the rest of the Celtics roster ratings are also out, and we're going to talk about them here. Tatum is a 95. Jaylen Brown is an 89. Kristaps Porzingis is an 86. And those are the top three guys, which makes sense. And then past that, the rest of the Celtics core, quote unquote, Brogdon 83, then Horford, Derek White, and Robert Williams all sitting at an 82. So fine ratings there. I mean, I get why 2K puts Brogdon above Horford, Derek White, and Robert Williams, even though I might not agree with it. And it's because, ooh, shiny, he won an award. Let's put him up. Like that's probably what 2K is thinking, because 2K is 2K and they don't really watch basketball.
Like you're upset. You're like this nonsense.
Should Brogdon be ahead of Horford, White, and Rob?
I think maybe.
Really?
But I think Derek White should probably be higher. And we'll probably see a shift once the season gets underway, because you're going to have a bigger role. You're going to see more opportunity for him to flourish, and people will catch on to it. The Celtics are going to be plastered all over national media because they're supposed to be contenders. You're going to hear people talk about White, and 2K is going to have to juice him a bit. Probably.
That was less a shot at Brogdon and more a shot at 2K doesn't watch basketball, because they don't. I was watching King of the Fourth Quarter. He put out his first video, and in the sim, his team was playing the Kings in the playoffs, and it was like 2 years into the future. The Kings rolled out a end of game lineup of De'Aaron Fox, Isaiah Jackson, Mitchell Robinson, Domantas Sabonis, and another center. It was De'Aaron Fox and 4 centers on the court. So 2K, very good at basketball video games. Anyways, the other thing that I wanted to take another shot at 2K for is the Celtics starting 7, their top 7 guys have solid ratings, right? You got Tatum 95, JP 89, Porzingis 86, and then Brogdon 83, Horford, D. White, Rob at 82. The next best player on the roster is Svi Mykhailiuk at 74, which again shows me that they Googled Svi Mykhailiuk, saw he averaged 19 points or whatever for the Hornets in 19 games, and said, oh yeah, he's probably pretty good. And they saw, oh, Pritchard didn't play a lot, he's bad. Hauser didn't play a lot, he's bad. Banton, like they just like, we'll throw all these guys together. It's just, I just like it. I just like how they just chuck the rest of the people on the roster at the same rating. Fuck it.
Call the day. Well, they got to earn their respect. It's like Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks runs 2K. He wore 24 for the Grizzlies, 2K24. It's him,
Maybe.
not Kobe.
Maybe
Dylan Brooks on the cover. That'd be kind of fun. Him in the boxing gloves.
Oh God, the boxing.
I would
glove.
put Dylan Brooks on the cover of the game. He's an icon.
I think.
I almost think 2K should like really lower the ratings across the board, because I think it would make for a more fun like GM mode. Because if you play, especially in the modern, like now you can start in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2012, like you start everywhere pretty much, which is awesome. Can't wait. But if you start in today's era, then like 95% of the league develops into being like an 80. And then the cap gets screwy. Like it's all a mess. People have to like go and
game's
tweak
broken.
the sliders and
the game's
cap
so broken.
sliders and all of this.
Yeah.
It's just like, whatever. What I've found to be the most fun, definitely the retro stuff. And I put like a creative player in there just in my career that way. That way I don't have to spend money.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, 2K.
Speaking
I
of
don't know how
Pritchard,
much I'm
73.
Yeah, 73.
Jared
Not
White
great.
put out an article of how he could maybe improve. He watched a bunch of tape on him, and this is an interesting take. He compared him to one Kemba Walker, now a member of Monaco overseas. Very
Yes.
lovely place to live. He's winning, still winning. He watched the Pritchard tape, and the conclusion Weiss made about Pritchard is that he looks fine for most of the possession. He can control the tempo of the offense decently, and he's ready to pull up from deep whenever a big drops on his screens. But he gets in trouble as the clock winds down later in the play. At this point of the three-point revolution, teams can take away the standard point guard shot off the dribble. Kemba Walker could make it work because he was so incredibly fast and athletic. Plus, he's an elite mid-range shooter. Pritchard has tried to develop some of Walker's approach, but is still coming up short in a few key areas. So, in order for Pritchard to really be impactful, and this is something we have talked about at length, whether it's with the Celtics, if he was to be traded somewhere, where is he going to fit? He probably needs to become a more versatile scorer, oddly enough. In an age where it's just threes and layups, for Pritchard to be effective, he has to have the defense afraid he's going to knock down mid-range shots too. And that would be interesting if he was cut loose a bit this year at times, maybe garbage time, maybe when players are out, and he actually gets an opportunity to cook and he's able to do it. He could be such a major piece for the Celtics as they strive to win a title.
Yeah, we talked about this when we put this in the show sheet. I just don't know how often Payton Pritchard is going to have the opportunity to implement these changes. Yeah, and Sam mocked me. I
didn't mock you. I was like, you're right.
Sarcasm.
Yeah.
Pritchard's a spot up 3-point shooter in this offense. He's not going to get the chance. The reason he got the chance to show off his skills his rookie year is because the Celtics didn't have a backup point guard. They didn't. It was Marcus Smart and then Carson Edwards, right? And Carson Edwards was bad, and so Pritchard got minutes. But now with Malcolm Brogdon and Derek White in the rotation, there's just not going to be many minutes for him. And they could go to him a little bit more this year now that Marcus Smart's gone, and you could see maybe more, Derek White playing the 2, Pritchard playing the 1. But at that point, if Brogdon or Derek White's on the court, they're going to have the ball as the point guard, not Payton Pritchard. That's just how it's going to be. You're not going to see many lineups where Payton Pritchard has the ball. And even when Payton Pritchard was a backup point guard, he got the ball because Jayson Tatum wasn't as good of a playmaker then. Jayson Tatum's a great playmaker now. He has the ball in his hand a lot more. And so I just don't think you're going to see Payton Pritchard with these opportunities as much. And he can implement them when he does have the ball in the final seconds off the catch. But if a possession ends with 10 seconds or 5 seconds on the shot clock and Payton Pritchard has the ball, something went wrong that possession, right? That's a bad possession if he has the ball and he's not in an immediate spot up catch and shoot position or cutting off the ball. So I think if he were to implement these changes, which that's not discounting Jared's article. I think the stuff he's noticing is correct. That's how he can improve. I just don't know how often he's going to get the chance to do that on a team like the Celtics. He probably needs to be in, Houston or Orlando or one of these teams that doesn't have as much pressure or much depth into the point guard position, right? You should throw him to San Antonio, let him back up Trey Jones and let him do whatever he wants with Wembanyama. But with Derek White and Brogdon and Jayson Tatum, the ball handler, there's not going to be, I feel like, a lot of time for Payton Pritchard to get the ball in his hands.
Yeah, the opportunity is definitely not here, but it sucks because we can go through it again if we really want to be like, there's nowhere for Pritchard to play.
There's not a lot. No.
Yeah, there's too many good point guards now. It sucks because he's actually a quality player. You just got upset because he's a 73 in 2K, and I think you're kind of right. But at the same time, there's just a bunch of great point guards.
Do you know what would probably be the perfect home for Pritchard now? That it would never happen just because of the teams involved. Miami. Kyle Lowry's old. Gabe Vincent's gone. Think about it. Yep. Pritchard could probably start for that Miami team, right? He wouldn't have the ball in his hands a ton, but he could have it as much as Gabe Vincent did. I don't know. He wanted it up there just because there's no actual trade that would be made unless. Would you do Payton Pritchard for Richard Jefferson or Josh Richardson?
Would I do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pope Catholic. I love Josh Richardson. That's one of my favorite role player Celtics in the last decade.
There you go. Maybe call up Pat Riley, see if he's interested. Anyways, that's all we got, I believe, for Celtic stuff. Kind of. I mean, we'll turn it blue. We'll talk about NBA section, basketball section, but we will stay with the Celtics because Daniel Theis just ended the Team USA's reign at the FIBA World Cup. Sam, I know you were hyped about it. I know you were an anti-Team USA guy, and Daniel Theis and Germany did take down Team USA in the semifinals of the tournament. Theis teamed up with 2 former Celtics in Dennis Schroeder and Mo Wagner, as well as Franz Wagner, to lead Germany to a 113-111 win. And I know, Sam, you're, as an anti-USA guy, you were ecstatic in the tournament when it happened.
Yeah. Hate USA. Hate it. Clip it. I truly get more excited to see Daniel Theis light up the national team than actually having the national team do well. Just because he used to play on the Celtics for a couple years. It's just more fun to me. He's the best. He was a quality player when he was on the Celtics. He tried. That's what my dad said yesterday when I was telling him, like, Theis lit up Team USA. He was like, yeah, I like Theis. He always tried. I was like, yeah, well, you got that right. He did try. Seeing him get to do well on a big stage where his place in the NBA seems to be a bit up in the air. I mean, he's getting paid almost $10 million to play for the Pacers, but besides that, he's not like, I mean, when he was on the Celtics, he wasn't getting consistent minutes, and he was injured last year. So I'm glad to see he's playing well on a big stage against Team USA, who had the Defensive Player of the Year playing for him.
This is true. He cooked Jaren Jackson Jr. Daniel Theis against Team USA in the semifinals put up 21 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block. Shot 10 of 15 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3. He cooked them. Great performance in. Dennis Schroeder also played well. Former Celtic. Mo Wagner, former Celtic, played well off the bench. Team USA just was cooked. They couldn't do anything. They were slow. Didn't play well, and they don't have any really good centers, apparently. They couldn't rebound the ball. Jaren Jackson Jr. averaged, I think, the least rebounds of anybody who got regular minutes for Team USA. And people weren't too happy about it. People were not happy with Team USA's, rotation management of their big men, because Walker Kessler was there sitting on the bench, and he did not play. He did not play.
Well, he did get clowned by Thanasis that one time. So I actually backed Steve Kerr in his decision not to play him, because he got beat in the post and got dunked on by Thanasis. So you can't have that. You got to be better.
Sure. Fair enough. Speaking of Steve Kerr, the Warriors are reportedly going to start Chris Paul. This was from Vincent Goodwill, I believe, of Yahoo Sports, who reported this. Excuse me. I think he spoke with Mark Spears, or he aggregated or something. This was Mark Spears talking about Chris Paul in Golden State. I do expect him to start, and I think it's in like 5-minute spurts. I don't know that they really want his minutes to be high, but I think they're going to try it. I could be wrong, but that's the gist I'm getting. This isn't an opinion that he's expected to start. It's what I'm hearing. He's never not started in his career. So it does sound like they're going to test out the Chris Paul lineup. They are wary of the fact that it might not work, but it does sound like the plan is to start Chris Paul in Golden State, which could be weird. Who goes to the bench at that point? Who doesn't start? Do you bench Kevon Looney and then run Draymond at the 5? Because do you not play Andrew Wiggins? Like, I just don't know how that's going to work.
No, that's a good question. Good luck to him. Celtics have their pick. That's all I really care about. I think the Warriors are going to be kind of a mess. I don't think Chris Paul's a good fit. I think he plays best when he has the ball. The Warriors are a more fluid offensive team. Kind of like what we talked about the other day when we were like, I was like, wait, no, that video hasn't come out yet.
You'll see a video on it.
You'll see a video on it. But I think the Warriors aren't going to benefit from having Chris Paul. It was just like a salary dump trade where they're going to lose that $30 million slot after next season. Mm-hmm. So good luck to them. I don't know what they do. If I had to guess, Looney does go to the bench, but then they're really, really small. I think it makes the most sense for Draymond to come off the bench, but then, I mean, how effective is Draymond going to be as a bench player? I don't know.
I mean, you could bench Wiggins and just have Wiggins come in for Chris Paul like a couple minutes in and run Chris Paul, Steph, Clay, Draymond, Looney. Like, that'd probably be fine. It's just weird. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Next thing is from Dave McMenamin of ESPN reporting that Anthony Davis still doesn't really want to play center. He said that Davis has, quote unquote, made it clear behind the scenes that he prefers to play more of the 4 during the 5 during the 23-24 regular season. The All-Star big man played almost entirely at the center last year and for much of 21-22. Well, to that, I say, Anthony Davis, you played a lot of center last year and you made the Eastern Conference Finals. What the fuck? Play center.
Yeah.
Get over it. But it's said that they're probably to start Rui over Christian Wood at the same time. So I don't know if they're going to run Rui at the 3 and then, or Darvin Ham's just gonna be like, sorry, AD, play the center. Get over it, buddy. That's what I would do, because Anthony Davis is just so much clearly better at the center, but it just sounds like he doesn't want to put that strain on his body, which also makes sense, like from a team perspective and a him perspective, because he is injury prone. He is just not as strong as he once was. He gets injured very easily, so running him at the 4 could save him a little bit in terms of missed games. But I don't know. It's just play the center. What like why? What are we doing?
Anthony Davis has not wanted to play center like since he joined the Lakers.
Always,
and it never ceases to make me laugh because he's giant. And also, everybody was raving about how great Anthony Davis was playing defense in the playoffs, deservedly so, until they met the Nuggets in the conference finals. So the take here has to be, did Jokic break Anthony Davis in the Lakers? Like the Lakers saw Jokic post 26, 14 and a half and 11 and a half against Davis while Davis was defending him, shooting like 50 and 47 splits. And they're like, all right, dude, like, yeah, we'll slide you to the 4. Just shut up. Like, you can get your wish. You can't handle that guy that can't even move. So, yeah, cool. Lakers, they're going to bend over backwards for this guy. Sure, great. Maybe it's because he doesn't think playing power forward will be as difficult on his body as it will be to play center and have to really work more down low. I don't know.
We'll see. I don't know if you guys could hear it through my mic, but I just had some thunder outside that I could literally feel through the floor on my feet. It is not fun outside right now. But the last NBA thing we do have to talk about here is we're going to go through it quickly. And we're just going to have quick reactions to him. Bleacher Report, Zach Buckley of Bleacher Report, I believe. Sorry, Greg Schwartz of Bleacher Report. They mesh into one person to me sometimes. Greg Schwartz of Bleacher Report came out with 10 NBA trade predictions for the upcoming season. We're just going to react and say yes or no. Do we agree with them? If we want to give a little bit of thoughts, we can, but this can be a speed run. First one, Dame is traded before the start of the regular season. I rate that a duh on the scale of duh to no way.
I think no way.
You don't think he gets traded before the start of the regular season?
What's going to change between now and the regular season starting that's going to make any team team take a step forward in making their offer?
I think the Heat raised their offer because they want to get him in for training camp. And so I think over the next couple of weeks, you'll see Dame get traded to the Heat because they're like, okay, we don't want to get him in here halfway through the season. We saw what happens when you don't have everybody on the court for an extended period of time last season when they struggled in the regular season. So I say, okay, let's throw in an extra swap. We'll throw in Jovic and Jaime Jaquez. We'll throw in that tiny bit extra that we've been holding out and get the deal over the hump. And I think it gets done. But anyways,
maybe. I mean, that deal still sucks. Like, if
I'm
Portland, I'm not doing it. I'm holding out.
They're not going to get anything else, I think. And so I think I don't think any other team will want to make a trade for Damian Lillard. You just said who else is going to, you know what I'm saying? So I think they'll get done. He predicts James Harden will stay on the 76ers and the issue will drag into the regular season. I agree. I agree
too. I think Daryl Morey has shown in the past that he's going to play hardball. James Harden really doesn't have a leg to stand on. And if I'm Morey, I'm telling him to go to hell. So there's no way they're going to just bend over backwards to trade James Harden. There's no value in trading James Harden. So he's going to be with the Sixers when the season starts.
I'm more interested to see if he shows up or not. I think that's going to be the intriguing start of this.
Maybe.
Part of this. New CBA trade rules will lead to a ton of deadline deals for apron teams. Maybe, but I think you already saw like the Suns said, I don't care about the apron. The Celtics did the Grant move, but other than that, they were like, okay, we'll still pay Jalen. We'll still do this. Like, we'll figure it out moving forward. I don't know. I think you could see a bit more salary cap moves. I don't know if you'll see a ton of contending teams trying to cut salary, though. I think it'll just be a lot of. I think you'll see an active trade deadline. Really? You think?
I don't think this necessarily means contending teams. You're going to see teams that are like, oh shit, we're not as good as we thought we were, be more willing to be like a board. Because we don't want to pay the money. It's not worth us going. Yeah, like the Hawks or even like kind of the Lakers last year where the Lakers were really trying to be competitive and they had to reshape their whole roster. A team like that where they're not guaranteed, even Miami, like Miami last season, had this all been in place, might have like been like Lowry, see ya. They might have offloaded more players just to dump money. There was rumors of that anyway. Now with the new CBA having everyone buy the balls, no doubt.
Yeah. All right. Sure. Next, Raptors keep their core together. Yes, but they shouldn't. I think it will happen, but I think they shouldn't. I'll put it that way.
I don't really know what to think here. I agree with you. I think they're dumb and they're going to keep them together. There's absolutely no reason to with the Raptors going forward. There's no benefit to either side. Of course, we've talked about this at length in the past where it's like Siakam is come to North America from Cameroon. Like he only knows Toronto and that's what he knows. So he doesn't want to leave. But at the same time, they're not going to be competitive. They don't have the assets to be competitive. Why would they not just try and rebuild and get better assets?
Yeah, I agree. But I said the same thing last year, and then they traded a first-round pick for Jakob Poeltl at the deadline. So I don't know what they're doing anymore. They don't make sense to me. So I don't know. Next one, DeMar DeRozan gets traded to a title contender. I would say yes, but I think the Bulls are going to do the same thing the Raptors do, and I think the Bulls will just accept mediocrity, and I don't think they'll trade him. But I don't know.
What type of contender can afford to accept that salary back in the deal, though?
The Lakers, the
great.
What did you say? Sorry, you're a little bit robot-y when you start sentences.
Excellent.
I think the Lakers potentially could. I think the Grizzlies potentially could. I think the Kings maybe could. Like, I don't think there are any, like, the Bucks, Celtics, Nuggets. Like, none of them could, and I don't think they would. But, like, the fringe contending teams could maybe say, okay, maybe we can get to Rose and maybe we make some noise. Maybe the Knicks make some noise. Maybe the Cavs make some noise. Maybe the 76ers finally say, okay, whatever, Harden, see you later, get the Bulls to give up whatever. I don't know. Like, I think there are some fringe contenders who could say, okay, let's just get DeMar DeRozan and see how far we can push this. So, I don't know.
I suppose.
I don't think Chicago will anyways. The Suns are forced to sell low on DeAndre Ayton. I feel like he'll just be there. I think they'll just stick it out again with him. I don't know.
They've essentially locked up so much money. What are you going to get back for DeAndre Ayton that's worth getting rid of a center that's a serviceable starter, right? Like,
that's the thing.
If you trade DeAndre Ayton away, I think you're going to get back like a bunch of fragmented pieces. I don't think you're going to get like, oh, now you have this guy instead. Like, that's not how it's going to go.
I agree. The only argument to that
Turner,
is
actually.
I doubt it. I feel like the Pacers are going to be in on Miles Turner at this point. I think the only argument to splitting it up is that you have smaller contracts to work with in trades from then point out. But at that point, I just think Ayton's more valuable. Pacers are the surprise buyers of the deadline. Speaking of Miles Turner, I don't hate this. I feel like you have Buddy Hield's contract, you have Daniel Theis and McConnell's contract, you have some first round picks and some young guys, or an abundance of them at the wing. Why not? Why not put some stuff together and buy a piece that could help you, compete for the playoffs moving forward with Halliburton at the helm? I think it makes sense. I don't hate it.
I think it makes sense too. It just really depends on how well they play. I don't really know what they have those contracts, like you say. So there's nothing really stopping them.
Yeah, they've got the contracts. Next one, Rockets shop Dillon Brooks. I mean, I don't think they should have signed him in the first place for that contract. I don't know who would want to take on that contract. This is a weird one to me. I don't know.
I'm with you because I don't really think you're signing Dillon Brooks for that money if you're the Rockets unless you want him, because that's not a very tradable contract, especially considering that the new CBA makes people not want to have contracts. They don't want a player like Dillon Brooks for what, 20 million a season, 24 million.
Yep.
How much is he getting annually? I think it's 20.
I think it's a little above 20. I think it's like 21 or something. Or it's around there. It is.
But nobody wants to pay that.
Oh, it's 22, 22, 21, 20. So it's like a little bit descending, but it's effectively around the 20 mil range. So not great. Not great. What I forgot to put this on here. This isn't anything. He just predicted the teams that will be selling. Schwartz said the Hornets, Wizards, and Blazers will have a fire sale. Yeah, sure. They're going to be bad. So, of course, they're going to have a fire sale. But then the last one is the Mavs will go all in for a third star. Again, you've seen them try to trade for a center all summer long effectively. They have these contracts and Tim Hardaway Jr. and Rashawn Holmes and Maxi Kleber. They have the contracts to throw together. If they really wanted to push for a star, you have Josh Green and Jaden Hardy. You have a first-round pick in the future. Why not? Like, you have no reason not to.
See, I don't know if all in is the best way for the Mavs to go. The Mavs went all in last year. They had Luka, they had Reggie Bullock, they had Dorian Finney-Smith. They still had Reggie Bullock after that, but they had Dorian Finney-Smith, and they traded for Kyrie. Mm-hmm. They fall from 4th in the West down to 10th because they really don't have any depth. The big man spot was tough for them. They've made a lot of moves this summer to make their supporting cast much better.
That's why I think they could go all in for a third star, because I do think they have the depth to support the move now, because I don't think Tim Hardaway Jr. plays a huge role from them anyways.
Well,
and
all
that's
in
salary.
Is giving up your depth. Like, that's what I read that is.
Well, no, I don't necessarily think so. I think it means trading your picks and trading your future. And like I said, they have the depth now to support an all-in move because realistically, all it takes to get up to a $30+ million contract is Tim Hardaway Jr., Reggie Bullock, excuse me, Richaun Holmes, and a random minimum deal, and that gets you around 30 mil. And then you still have Kyrie, Luka, and the star you trade for. You still have Maxi Kleber, you still have the rookies, you still have Grant Williams, you still have Josh Green. Like, you still have a decent supporting cast around it. So I wouldn't be surprised for them to do it just because it feels like they've been aggressive this summer trying to trade for center anyways. I do also see the argument though that they shouldn't, right? So
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I don't know. In that case, yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
It depends on how the season.
Has Kyrie had the best teammates ever?
Like
at the end of the day, when he retires, like let's say 20 years from now, it'll be like Kyrie played with LeBron, he played with Tatum, he played with KD, he played with Luka, and then
KD
whoever else the hell he's going to play with.
KD might have had the best teammates ever. Russ and Harden,
Russ
then he
sucks,
played with
dude.
Russ and Harden in OKC.
You're going to tell me that Kyrie playing with LeBron, Jayson Tatum, KD, and Luka is as good as Russ? I mean, is worse than Russ and Steph?
And Harden and Kyrie and Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, if you had let me finish my argument.
Still, not even close.
Okay. Good to know. Let's move on to the rat list so I can rat list Sam and his internet because holy
it's
shit.
Terrible, dude. It's ruined the whole week of recording.
Even when he comes back, I can't get my argument in because he just interrupts me.
I'm just so fired up, dude. I'm like mad as hell. They wound me up and they just let me go.
You're mad as hell.
This internet is terrible, dude. I don't know what it is. This whole week it's been bad. The whole session of recordings, the Thursday recordings, the last pod, this one, I had my hotspot. The thing's terrible. I would like to apologize to Jack. I'd like to apologize to me. This is terrible. Linksys should sponsor our show. Verizon should give me so much in compensation, like more than like the guy that goes to court in a neck brace in a lawsuit. Like I should be able to own Verizon.
It might
That's
be time
how bad
to
all
buy
of
your own
this
internet. Might be time just to buy your own.
I don't think it's gonna help because I'm on the top. Are you on like the first floor or are you on the top floor at your house?
Yeah, but you can still get stuff wired. Like you can still get stuff wired upstairs. Like I have an Ethernet cable now, and it's. I mean, I remember I used to lag, and now I don't anymore because I just bought my own and it fixed the problem. I don't know. That's what fixes for me. But yeah, ratless internet. The internet's been tough today, and it doesn't help that it's gross out. Like the weather probably isn't helping shit. But
dude, it's sunny here.
I guess it's sunny there. It's disgusting here. It was just thundering all throughout the pod. It's raining. I have to go.
Dude, I can't wait. I hope it. Actually, I don't want it to come here because I have men's league tomorrow. But I like the rain. Rain.
Out on it. Out on thunder, especially because it's the equivalent of fireworks to the dogs. Hate it. They're running around everywhere. They're all pissed. They're upset. Not fun. But yeah, internet first on the rat list today. What do you got? We also skipped Reddit post of the day, but I figured I didn't think we had.
I kind of forgot about the Reddit post.
That's
Take
fine.
a breather.
We'll skip it this episode. We also, sorry, RJ, we will check in with you on our next pod. We've been scrambled today, so I haven't even checked the email today. We will check in with you.
We
RJ,
have some emails
at a
waiting
later
for
date.
us.
Okay, we'll check in on the next pod we record. What else on the rat list, though? Rat list my brain, because I haven't been thinking straight lately.
Rat list, the woman at the coffee shop today.
Mm-hmm.
She was ahead of me and my girlfriend, and she must have been like at the cashier for 5 to 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, she definitely was like getting a catered order, like she was like bringing food somewhere. But my goodness, did it take her long to get on with the day? You
always mock me for using the online ordering thing, right? For Dunkin', right? You mock me. Yes. I am ordering for like 4 people, so I have a giant order. So if I order it on the app, I am in the drive-thru, bang, 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 instead of taking 20 years. So not only is it easier for me, but it also, I'm not there for a million years holding up people in the line. So I think that would save.
Well, there's no app for this place.
Well, then she's her own problem. She can stay on the rat list.
Correct.
I'm just saying. That's another reasoning for my
a lot of standing around
to go at.
They also didn't put a tomato on my sandwich, which I didn't like.
Did it come with tomato and they just forgot to put it on?
I asked for a tomato.
Oh,
you get ham, egg, cheese, put a tomato on there. Fire.
Interesting. Odd choice. I don't really know. Rat list golf this week. Not because I had to play, but because I had 2 times I had golf canceled on me twice this week. Both.
What's going on?
Poisoning.
It's getting canceled.
Food poisoning. Both the people I was supposed to play with just got sick because they ate something bad.
You're up next.
Yeah, right. Knock on wood, man. I just haven't been able to play, but I did get to play once. I played yesterday, early morning. I played like shit. Henry played really good. And the guy we played with was cool in the sense that he was he is like the Uber driver. He doesn't say anything. He just lets you enjoy around a drive in silence. We didn't talk much, and we just we played, and we were good. It was very nice. But Rattler's golf getting canceled twice this week. I was upset.
Ratlist, my ride to Providence yesterday. Let me tell you, I leave my house. I stop at the store. I head towards 95. I get close to 95. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of traffic. So I check my GPS. It must have been bumper to bumper, like crazy traffic. So I had to take the back roads. I hit every light. I had pedestrians. And then I finally get to my destination, and I realized I forgot my running shoes, which made me furious because I need my running shoes. Even though I ran basketball shoes today, I was fine.
You drive to a certain place to run. You don't just run from your house.
I was going to my girlfriend's, but we had like a party and something last night, so I stayed.
Oh, you just wear your running shoes. Okay, I understand.
Well, no, I bring them so when I go running the next day,
you stayed over.
And
Gotcha.
Stayed.
Gotcha.
And I didn't have them, so I had to play in my street basketball shoes, or run in my basketball shoes, which is fine.
Yeah,
I guess I pound the pavement with them, but I was so mad. I was there, and like that was like day ruining. I was like, I really forgot my running shoes. Ruined my day.
Well, it's because everything already pent up. You're already annoyed at the traffic. You're already annoyed at all this stuff. You're like, on top of it, no running shoes. What a disaster. What else? I caught McDonald's chicken nuggets the other day, and I found a bone in the chicken nugget. I bit in. It was
wings
like,
from McDonald's. New item.
I know. I pulled like a little. It was just tiny little. It wasn't even like a skinny bone. It was like a chunk of something. And I didn't really want to eat my nuggets anymore. After that, I kind of threw like 5 of them away. I'm like,
you gotta get the McCrispies. The chicken sandwich from McDonald's is actually quality.
I've heard they're good.
Quality chicken sandwich. I probably told you.
Yeah, I've heard.
I like tell everybody that. Like behind Chick-fil-A, that's my number 2. My second favorite chicken sandwich, like fast food places.
Yeah, I like Popeyes.
McDonald's.
I enjoy.
Don't
Popeyes
care for Popeyes.
Well.
Think it's overrated.
I think Popeyes good. KFC's is tragic. KFC's is really bad.
I couldn't tell you the last time I had KFC.
I had KFC driving back from ball last week because I hadn't eaten yet that day.
That's right. You told me that.
I did fumble the bag though. I ordered the tenders instead of the popcorn chicken, which is an L. But it is what it is. Is there ball this week? I forgot to ask you. Is it tomorrow?
There is.
I assume.
Yes,
I should be back in time. I should be back in time. I'll ask Henry too, but I don't know when I'm coming back.
Okay, you tell me.
I'm trying to think of rat list. Like
this is not a rat list, but I mentioned that I went to that party last night. It was somebody's birthday. And so my girlfriend is in
rat list
school,
birthdays.
So, no.
Well,
I'm
yes,
not gonna rat list
continue.
anything from this. Don't need it to come off the wrong way because I had a good time. But it's funny. It was all med students at this party, and let me tell you, med students are built different.
Mm-hmm.
They have very, very short learning units. So I feel like things you would learn in a semester, they learn in a couple weeks, and then they have to have an exam on it. So they were all stressed as hell about this exam last week, and I'm talking to them about it. I'm like, so, how's everyone liking the new unit? And they were like, oh, we were so stressed. Like, we all thought they failed. And then the one kid's like, yeah. One, it's pass-fail. He's like, yeah, it's pass-fail. So they're all like cramming, studying as they should be. If I go to the hospital, I want to make sure I'm safe. But they're all like really working hard for a pass-fail exam. And then the average grade was an 85. And they're all stressed. They're all stressed, dude. These kids put themselves through so much.
Yeah.
And then I love when I go there because I'm like the only one that's not like super smart, at least that way. So they're all like talking about med stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, dude, ball going hoop. That's me.
That's what I do. That's what I do often with all my friends. They're all talking about like, oh yeah, I'm in sales, I'm in this. I'm like, guys, I've got no fucking clue what's going on. I write about basketball.
Sales. Oof.
I mean, it's not exactly the same. I was a nursing major for like a year and a half, and like I will say you do need, at least in my program, an 80 was passing. Like it wasn't like you pass if you get a 60, like you had to get an 82 pass. So that's probably what pass fail is for them. So 85 isn't like super ridiculous. Like it's still a good grade, but you need an 80 to pass in a lot of cases. And yeah, dude, any sort of school and medical field is fucked. I dropped out after a year and a half. By the time the problem was I dropped out like midway through the semester, like my first semester of sophomore year, but I dropped out like just a few days too late. So I had to continue the classes. Right. And so I had to finish out the classes knowing I wasn't continuing in that major. in Switchment. I could have stopped going to clinicals and still been fine, but I didn't want to like leave them hanging like with a person less. So I kept going, like whatever. I stuck it out. But the funny part was we got to the end of the semester and we were taking the final, and this other kid also dropped out similar time as me. And so me and him just speed ran the final. And so all these people are like stressing at the final, and we just like, we raced each other to see who could finish the final first.
I
we were
like
out of there
that.
in like 20 minutes and we just filled it all.
Did you finish first?
It was very close. I think he might have beat me by a second because I was just slower, but I think I got like a 62 in the final and then bounced, and we called it a day, and that was the end for Jack in nursing school. Was not a fan for me. That was I wasn't built like that, as they say. not a fan.
Me neither.
That's all I got for Rouse. You got anything else?
No, I'm done, man.
We'll call it.
Pleasant week.
We'll call it.
Except for the one.
Thank y'all for tuning in to How About Them Celtics. We appreciate you for listening and watching. Subscribe to How About Them Celtics. Sorry, RJ, we didn't go over the emails today, and sorry we didn't do Sam's Reddit post. My head's been scrambled today. I've been all over the place. But we'll be back with that, our normally scheduled programming, next podcast. We also had the Jayson Tatum interview, which chunked up like 30 minutes of the show. So
which is good.
Big stuff for us. Yeah, we had content finally. But thank y'all for tuning in. Check us out on Spotify and Apple and Playback TV. I think we have 3 subscribers on there. Go subscribe there so you can watch games with us. Go hang out and leave us a comment on YouTube. That's my favorite part of my day. Sam, get us out.
Hey, yes. Thank you very much for listening and watching. If you're watching here on the YouTube, whether it's ours or CLNS's or CLNS's other, make sure you subscribe. If you're on ours, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our daily uploads. We've been putting them out every single day this summer. So keep yourself entertained, will you? You can find us on Playback, like Jack said, so follow us there. You can find us on Spotify and Apple. You can follow us, leave a 5-star review there. If you only want the audio versions of the pods, they are there. You can find the socials at How About Them C's. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. The Facebook page is just the name of the podcast. You can find Jack at Jack Simone NBA. You can find me at Sam LaFrance NBA on Twitter. That's it for us. Bye.
Tic-tac-toe. Come on.